Welcome everybody to the May competition. This month's theme is action, which we have a lot of great action shots. So this should be very enjoyable. As per usual, for the basic and intermediate classes, we have some homegrown judges. Tonight we have Carol Schiraldi, we have Josh Baker, and Patrick StCin. So I want to thank them all in advance for their efforts. That's what makes this competition, these competitions possible, is to have people who are willing to put the time in. I now need 3 judges for June, so.
It says, can Mark be louder in the chat? Yeah.
How's that? Is that better?
I will say my normal spiel that you'll learn more from judging than you will from submitting.
So
That's better.
then for the advanced class, we have a PSA judge. So we will be reading her comments when we do that. So without any further ado, is somebody following the chat?
I can follow it here.
Yeah.
Oh, you can follow it there because I'm gonna minimize it on mine. Okay, thanks. All right, so we're gonna first do a run through the basic category. And just so everybody can get a look at the images. There are 14 in this class. There. First one is fetch. Candy robber action figure. Goalie to the rescue. She's coming to get you. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, 2021. Harrier in flight. Galloping racer. Landing approach. Donuts on the street. Shuffle. Burning rubber. Live streaming. Taking off. Look me in the eye and drive. All right. Good night, everybody. That was fun. We'll see you next week. Okay, so now we're going to go through these, and each judge is going to comment on 3 of the pictures, and they're going to do that out loud. But every image has at least one critique online. Some have more than that, but we're going to do oral critiques tonight so everybody can hear them on 9 images in this class. So we'll go back and look at them again. And,
This is me.
okay.
I'm Fetch.
Okay.
So I'm Carol. Hi, everybody.
We're trying to make that chat.
Yeah, we're trying to make Fetch happen. One thing I like to do, and I'm sorry for doing this, I'm gonna take a minute. When I judge the work, I like to make a comment about overall arcing things that I see in all the work before I go into a specific image. So I'm gonna take a second and do that because I think I haven't judged in a while, for those of you who maybe don't know me. And I'm like a weird fine artsy photographer, so my judging is always a little different from everybody else. But one thing I noticed is that I usually compare us to fine art, like I'll say Picasso did this. Tonight I'm going to compare us to cooking shows, and bear with me. I'm going to take 2 minutes because this is going to, I think it's worthwhile.
Carol?
Yeah.
Excuse me, can you point the microphone at you?
Oh, sure.
And they say you could be loud.
Okay, I'll try to be louder.
I'm not
Tilted
gonna need
down.
it.
Okay. Is that better, hopefully? So when you watch a cooking, when they give a Michelin star to a restaurant, they don't give it for a fantastic meal. What they give it for is consistency. In other words, let's say you cook chicken cordon bleu. Is your chicken cordon bleu on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday the same meal? Are the carrots all the same size? Right? Is everything consistent? Is your restaurant consistently good? Right. But then if you watch the cooking shows, a lot of times they talk about a signature dish. Right. And that's what I want to talk to us about, because I think I see that as an overall theme for all of us. The signature dish is a lot of times on the cooking shows, they'll say it's you on a plate, right? What makes you different from everybody else, right? What is your signature image, right? And coming to a club like this, it's really great. And I see a lot of people, and we judge blind, so I don't know whose images are what, but I see people consistently producing good images, great images even. I see sometimes in the beginner category work that I would put in the advanced category of other groups, right? But what I don't see is the signature. And again, I'm not talking about this image in particular. I'll be very quick on this image too. But the idea is I would like people to start thinking about what their signature image is. Like if you shoot birds, what is about your birds that are different than everybody else? Or if you shoot portraits, how are your portraits different? And I think when you start to look at the advanced category and compare it maybe to the beginner and the intermediate, you see that the advanced photographers, they have a signature look, like it or hate it. You can tell sort of like Josh, I'm going to pick on Josh. You can tell a Josh image, right? It has his signature, right? And so I want people to start thinking about what is your signature? It's just something, I wanted to point it out. So that I'll get off my soapbox now. So now I'll get into the individual image. And again, I do an overall thing and then dive in. So for me, this is a great profile shot. I think it's a fine portrait. A lot of people don't do profiles. They try to get the front of an animal or they try to get the face. The dog in this image has a very interesting shape, and it's interesting that it shows up nicely. It's the shot amplifies that. So I think for me, this image works for me. The black dog stands out against the background and sort of the graffiti in the background. The splashing water really has energy and motion about it. I think it's an image that tells a story. Obviously, the dog is fetching it. He looks like a retriever type of dog. If you wanted, you could crop maybe in from the left a little bit or tighten it a little. But honestly, I think this image for me worked quite well. I think it's a good action shot. I think it tells a story. I think it has a narrative. Again, for improvement, I would suggest how would it fit in with a body of work, right? Are you showing us more dogs? Are you showing us action? Or, so again, it goes back to that signature in a way, like how would this fit in with your signature, maybe body of work or, series that you're doing. So, but good job, especially, I thought it worked for me. I have to write them down.
I'm in my notes too.
I have to write them down.
That's me. Go.
Do you want the mic? Do you want to?
Yeah, throw it on the chair there. Usually I can project a little bit. I come from a hard of hearing household, so I've always learned how to speak loudly. So for those of you who've never heard me judge, my take's a little bit different than Carol's, but I like a lot of what she said. But what I'm looking for is like a movie, right? If it's a comedy movie, how much does it make me laugh? If it's a drama, how much does it make me cry? If it's an action movie, right? How much do I want to go run through a wall, right? So I'm not trying to judge a photo based on what it isn't. I'm trying to judge a photo based on what it's trying to do. I try to look at the photo from the details. What was it trying to do? Then how well did it do it, right? And I think that's just a more holistic way for me to kind of look through photos. So one of the things I noticed for a lot of these photos in general, action really comes down to two things, right? Focal length and then your use of shutter speed. I think shutter speed is really a big differentiator in action, right? Like we saw the galloping, right? Do you want it slow? Do you want it crisp? Do you want the bird's wings to be sharp? Do you want them to be blurry, right? So I think that's one of the cool things about having a camera is that human eyes, we can't control our speed, right? We just see what we see when we see it. But with a camera, we can dilate time. We can slow time down. we can speed time up. And action is a great way to test that ability. So this photo, I think the moment is right. Right. When we do ball sport, one of the things you in a ball sport photo is the ball, right? So we have a goalie catching the ball. Good. We have people's reaction to the ball being caught. Good. So the idea was there. The intent was there. The timing was there. But this photo was taken, I think if I remember looking at the XIF data, which please include your XIF. It really makes it better when we judge. Like I love being able to look at all the data. It helps. But this one was shot at 100 mil. And this is not a 100 mil frame. And so what it tells me is that it was punched in. Well, what starts happening, right? You start losing fidelity of the image. It gets a little crunchy. It gets a little soft in some places, right? It's not like CSI where you can just say, zoom in, enhance, right? The real world doesn't work that way. So I would guess this was maybe 20% of the original photo, if I had to guess. So what you see, especially like the girls kind of in the middle, their faces get kind of crunchy, their hair gets kind of mushy. But the shutter speed was actually 1/16 of 1/1600. So the shutter speed should have been fast enough to capture that. So what that tells me is it was punched in a lot. Well, if you're going to be doing that punch in and zoom, then what happens? We have this whole negative space above. So I think more of a horizontal crop, I think would kind of keep those faces and actions there, but it's really just because it's punched in so much. Now, the other things, right? We have the truck in the background kind of distracting, whatever. You're on a field, you're shooting your kids or whatever. There's not going to be that clean background that you would at like, a pro sports arena, right? Where you have big walls and billboards. So, I think this is one of those where like the idea was right. And so it's in basic. And so, right, the idea was right, but the skill is kind of here. So just work to get that skill up to what you saw. Because I think what you saw was right. Just the tools you had at your disposal, I don't think were enough to get the photo you wanted to get. Yeah. 400 mil lens would probably help a lot, right? Yeah.
She's coming to get you. Yeah, that was mine. Yeah. Well, I have to speak first. So,
Just a general thought.
yes, no, that's not a problem. So I think this is a wonderful shot of a Formula car. It's really, I like this. I'm going to take this screen home, this monitor home with me because mine doesn't give me this kind of clarity. Jeez. Nice top cropping on it. I think it builds the action up in this picture. It makes it appear as though, which it really was, coming at you rather fast. I would say just slightly slower shutter speed, so you have the spinning of the wheels more obvious. But that's, it's very difficult to do that. Unsure if there's a gray line across the bottom of the frame. Okay, so you've got one person who's very much, you got to have you're doing the whole scope of things, how it fits in with your body of work. And next is a professional photographer looking at things as well. I'm a technical guy. And so I look at things like that and I kind of go, where did that come from and why is it there? So I would have at least tried to burn it down so that it wasn't as obvious. But otherwise, I think it's a fantastic shot. Really, really well done. Your exposure, your treatment of it, your post-processing, everything. So, yeah.
I love the flat spot on that left.
Yeah.
They talk about that. They're talking about the race. Oh, he flat spot. And you're like, whatever. But then you freeze it a little bit here. And you're like, oh yeah, that would make it very tough to try.
Yeah. He's got another one on the left.
Yeah.
So,
Looks like it's about to blow.
yeah.
Yeah. They call it flat spotting. So they don't have analog brakes. So if they come in too hard on the brakes, those wheels, they'll burn off part of the rubber. And so now they're not round. And so now as they're going, now they're getting all the vibrations through until they change the tires.
And they're limited to the number of tires they can change.
Right.
This is me.
Are you writing
No.
That's impressive, Carol.
For me, this was a very strong image. The motion, the colors, the expression, the gesture, there's just a lot I could say about this image, and I could go on and gush about it all night. Even the lines on the feet of the horse, for me, were just really fascinating. Because the legs are straight and they have red wraps on them, which I know the photographer didn't do, but that red just really pops. When you have motion in an image in general, the line becomes very important. Artists, and again, I'm a painter too, so artists a lot of times talk about quality of line, and that even translates into photography. If an image has good line in it, it usually works very well as an image. And this image has very strong lines in it, and that when you convey motion in an image, the line becomes very important. It's critical because it shows the direction and the fortitude of the motion, like how strong something is moving. If the lines are very strong, it looks like it's moving faster because it is a still photo, but the line makes it look like it's moving. It's also critical to adding depth. So this image, you can tell that the horse's feet are way in front of the background, right? Because photographs are flat, and yet when we put that depth back in, it really makes the image pop, right? Certain things really pop and put the depth back in. Like I said, the red wraps even work for me. The warm and cool colors in this image also really work. For me, this is sort of like, I would call this an environmental portrait where you have a person in an environment. And as a photographer, I know those can be very difficult to do. It can be very difficult to do a really good environmental portrait. And here, I think that they're harder than they look. And for me, this image really worked for me on many levels. I really liked it. I just thought it was a very strong image. So kudos to the photographer. And I'll shut up now. That's it.
Next is, so this is a Harrier or a Falcon? Okay, so my apologies for calling it a Falcon in the written comments, but it's a nice shot. Again, this monitor is completely different than what I see. So my only, everything on this is excellent. I like the colors in the bird. I like the blue in the background of the water, that reflection. It's very nice. Perhaps layering the bird just, to darken that background a little bit. I don't know, might have helped. The only thing that I have that's really any kind of a goofy negative on this is the title. It's called Landing Approach, but I don't see where the approach really is going, where the bird is actually going to land. So it kind of makes it difficult for me, the viewer, to grasp that that's what this bird was about to do. That's my only real negative on this. Otherwise, I think it's a fantastic shot. Everything's nice and sharp. It's colors are good. Photograph, the exposure is excellent. So congratulations. Next is Donuts on the Street. Gosh.
Disappointed they weren't actual donuts. I'm very food motivated. So, sorry, I'm posting this story with me and Carol on it. So the last photo we talked about going to a square crop and making it more cinematic. And here we have an example of a cinematic crop. And we see it on this monitor and it looks like almost like a frame out of Top Gear. Anybody watch Top Gear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right. When they like throw the letterbox and you're like, oh, not to get on, right? Like, oh, the beat drops, music goes, right. So I think that's really fun that the crop really fits just what they want you to see. And there's no distracting. We have leading lines of the tires running back up to the car. We have the wheel spin, we have smoke. So again, that intent, right? What are we trying to show? We're trying to show a car smoking in the parking lot. And we get that. I think, again, the technical, I think just a little bit of post-production. I feel this photo is a little blue. And to me, there's kind of two ways to attack that. Because we're looking at the shadow side of the car. And so the shadows are naturally blue. But I feel like either we could split tone it and make the shadows blue and the highlights warm and give you some contrast, right? That's one way we could go with it. Or just take it and make it like lean into the blue and make it feel like you were there, but not like it was. So kind of like that, the horse photo. I think that horse photo makes you feel the energy of the room. It's not what it was, but it's what it felt like. And so this kind of has that feel too, right? This is what it feels to be there, right? There's smoke and all that. But for me, I probably would have split toned the highlights into warm and amped the blues down, the shadows down in the blue a little bit more. So the shutter speed, I could have seen it was at 1/320th. And I could see it going either a little slower to get more of that spin, or a little bit faster to freeze the smoke, because the smoke has a little bit of blur to it. So those are kind of some options you can do with smoke, from shooting all the smoke bombs we've shot. I can tell you faster shutter speed helps to freeze the smoke. So also maybe a little bit of dehaze. Just the body of the car is washed out due to the smoke and haze, which is what dehaze was meant for. So just a little bit of there, maybe just on the body of the car, just to punch that just a little bit and really make that background kind of undehaze where it stays kind of soft. And then that contrast will make it pop even more so. Yeah, good photo. I love the crop.
Next is burning rubber. Patrick?
I like the concept. It's a very interesting picture, and as I wrote in my comments, it's kind of a woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of picture. And most of that is I really would have liked to have seen the back wheel burning that rubber and producing the smoke. Could you have waited for the bike to come around a little bit more? Could you have been in a different position? I mean, that's woulda, coulda, shoulda shot, in that case. Focus looks good. Excuse me. Focus looks good on this. On my monitor, it looked as though the focus was just off on the helmet, which is really where I would have wanted it, in the driver's suit. I like the concept and the execution, and I think it's a really good picture. The only other thing would be the little bit of white clothing in the background in the people watching. It gets to be a little distracting, but that's it. Otherwise, nice shot.
It looks like there's 4 people in the chat. Do we need to monitor the chat or?
They're monitoring the chat back here.
Oh, they are. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Thank you.
The last item in chat, Clay. There's one more item in chat. Is it something we need to know about?
Is there something about chat?
How's the chat going?
Yeah, there's nothing in chat.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract us. I saw the. I was like, oh.
Next is live streaming. And that's Josh.
So show of hands, who of you have tried to do a long exposure with a waterfall? That's what I thought. It's kind of one of those things you do, right? It's they're kind of catnip to photographers, right? You're like, oh, waterfall, I know what I can do. I'll do slow motion, right? So this one, there's some pitfalls with that. Pitfalls, waterfalls. I think you see where I'm going here. One, it's very easy to blow out the highlights. Because the water reflects the light more than the surrounding. And so you get that where the water's coming in right there, you get that hot spot. And then your eye goes to the hot spot. So you're not looking at the waterfall. That's part of it. 2, things like circular polarizer, neutral density filters, even expanding your ISO gets you a little bit. So this was shot at ISO 100, but it was only at 1/15th of a second, and f/22. And so most cameras, you can do ISO expansion down to 50. That would have given you an 1/8 of a second, or something like that. A circular polarizer would have given you a 1/4 of a second. And then neutral density, obviously you could go all the way down to probably 30 seconds. So just those things to make that water smoother. A circular polarizer though would help take care of that hot spot in the center, because it's where you can kind of shield your reflections. The other big part, I mean, those are the technical sides. There's not a foreground here. And so I have no idea if this waterfall is 6 inches, 6 feet, or 60 feet. I think I know what it is, but having that foreground element to give us a sense of scale would really kind of help tie the room together. I see this a lot with sunset photos, and honestly with Milky Way photos, is that you did a good job getting the sunset right, or the Milky Way right, or the waterfall right. But then what about the rest of the photo, right? What about the foreground? What about the middle ground? And so that's something you always kind of keep in mind is it a composition, or am I just trying out a technique? I think this falls more into I'm trying out a technique and learning how that works. Great. We've all literally everybody in this room raised their hand. And so we've all done it. But now it's to take that and then use it as a way to make a composition, to make a photo, to make something with a narrative in it. I think that's kind of the next step in a photo like this.
Thanks. And,
Sunset looking for a foreground. There you go. That's our phrase for today.
This is me.
okay. Take off.
Now you're a bird.
Yeah, now I'm a bird.
Birds aren't real.
For me, this image worked well for me too. For some reason tonight, I picked images I liked a lot. I think this has beautiful soft light and nice tonality. It can be very hard to get soft light. A lot of times when you do bird photography, and those of you who do birds, you either have to go out early in the morning or late at night and get on a cloudy day where you get that really soft light. And it can be really beautiful when you get that beautiful soft light and good tones, good tonal range. The darks are dark and the lights are light, and nothing is really, nothing is blasted out and nothing is blocked up. So I thought that was really strong in this image. There are 3 birds, which, again, that you could say, well, that's not really the photographer. I mean, there were 3 birds there, but, including 3 birds like this 3 is actually a good number if you do still lifes and even with animals and groups of things. It's somehow 3 is better than 2. There's a like rule of art or something that says, rule of odds. It's like odd number of things always look better. Or 2. I also think it's really strong. Again, it has very strong lines because the birds have these black tips on their wings. There's some separation between the birds and the background, and the choice of aperture for this also means the background is faded back, and the black tips on the feet and the wings provide some separation. I think when you do wildlife photography, birds especially, it's important to get that separation from the background so you can see where the bird begins and ends and the background fills in. If you get confused when you look at an image and you can't tell, like, is that a bird? Is that the wing? Is that the image doesn't work. And here you don't have that. The feet and the wings all separate the birds from the background, especially those black tip wings and feet. I think it worked well. I really love the light and tones in this. I thought it was good. I think the reflection in the water of sort of the reeds, also it fills in the frame nicely. There's a lot to look at, but my eye is kept in the frame. And that's another thing I look at is eye movement within a frame. Does my eye stay in or do I sort of go off the frame? And for me, this worked. It kept my interest in there. So good job. Nice shot.
10 degrees at that point. Very early.
It had that beautiful quality of light.
Yeah.
Stephen and I were there.
Okay. So you recognize the scene of the crime.
All right, use that microphone up here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to try and not drop it.
Okay, so we're ready for the judges' opinions. And we have honorable mention to Delaney Van for taking off.
That wasn't a bird. No. I stole our spot.
That bird shot.
Good shot.
Okay, we're missing something here.
That was somebody's.
Gosh, I have interesting things.
No,
there was like 10 of them all sitting together in the same spot.
Okay, gold.
Huddling together to stay warm. It was like 17 degrees.
Like that harrier. I'm like, who was there? Because we were all there watching that harrier.
It's somebody else's harrier watch. It's probably not even.
It's the same bird by 2 different photographers. You're too close. You're too close.
Well, that was Sean Penn, the Harrier.
There's 80 photographers shooting me. Help, help.
Like 5 of us on that day. You got the people's choice. Everybody else is.
I think the people's choice was the dog. Was that right?
I've got to do it again.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try this
I'll
again.
get to it. It's like 9 on my list.
Okay.
Now we're down to 3.
Except it's not what I picked. Okay, let's go to judge's choice. Okay. Sorry, I picked the wrong. Okay, so there are 4 images placed within, out of the 16. And the honorable mention goes to Delaney Van for taking off. Spectacular image.
I love how you can tell there's a sunset, but you don't see the sunset. You only see it reflected.
Third place, Dave Wilson for Galloping Racer. Second place goes to Sabrina Lunsford for Harrier in Flight.
Love the talons of it. So look like missiles about to.
And first place goes to Dave Wilson for the Ferrari 2021.
Yeah. Who's the top? Mark Wilson?
It says Dave.
Wilson.
We got Mark Wilson right here. It's not him.
I know Dave.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave?
I know he has access like that.
Wait, are you Sean?
I know a lot of things, man.
Are you
Flush.
Yeah.
That was our speaker.
Yeah. I have a beard and I know things.
Why is it basic?
You start basic.
It's like relegation. It's like Premier League. You gotta work your way up.
Until you get moved up for you.
It could be that,
You said that. Oh, there was no place, right?
You said that.
yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at my emails with him to see if I missed advancing him, because normally I'll put him in basic until they tell me to put him somewhere else. Okay, these are the People's Choice Awards. So the bronze goes to Sabrina Lunsford for the Harrier. We had a tie for gold for first place, so there are 2 golds and no silver. Delaney, that was Sabrina. Who was that? That was Delaney. Delaney for Fetch. And the other gold goes to Dave Wilson for Galloping Racer.
That arena is fluorescent lighting, and that's why you have that green.
I was thinking this picture may be by a basic photographer, but it's not a basic image. It's really,
Yeah, I thought that too.
yeah.
That flat spot, you don't see
One
those.
photo.
Yeah.
You've got to be shooting with
It's
something
the,
fast and long.
Okay, so that was the basic division. Now we're going to go to intermediate.
That's why you get that choppy.
And
Because
we
the flash is
have,
on 40 hertz. And so you get that weird, like, middle school gyms are like, and what you're the 2 worst places to shoot.
no, thank you.
You're about to nominate yourself for next year.
Quick scan through all images. You are next year's competition director.
Next month.
We'll have, oh, yeah.
There's gonna be a judge next month.
Okay, there are 18 images.
It's fun. Well, never saw my photos. I think. I wonder if I submitted.
Okay, let me do this. Number 1 is Fall Out Colors. Burning Man. God, I didn't think that you,
Yeah, come on.
Baby Food Run. Looking for Dinner. Hold on tight. action at a snail's
This
pace.
one made me laugh when it came up. I was giggling in my chair.
Yeah, the title is perfect.
Drop that baby. Oh, this is some emotion here. Coming around the bend.
There's a slight delay. Yeah, online, you don't get them right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leap. This is my platform now.
That's why we first. You don't get this.
Got breakfast.
On the virtual
Peanut
meetings, we're
gallery.
usually texting each other. Talking shit all the time.
Lunchtime. Chasing lunch. Liftoff. Brewing up some magic. This is my spot.
You can start doing voices, Mark.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
I'm trying to get a commercial
Voiceover
gig.
actor.
Nitro burning Hemis, front wheels 12 feet in the air.
Everyone, this truck, my life.
Nicholas cruising. Gotcha. Okay.
You were talking about theme, how about birds eating?
Yeah.
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 I should come back into your house, take photos of you while you were eating, huh?
I'm gonna take the
I do
mic back.
bird porn.
That's okay.
Yeah, please.
Whoa.
Maybe, maybe not the right room.
Yeah, lightning to the lightning. Now we know we're going to the storms.
So I was like, say,
You're the reason we take it, Milky Way.
I always say, oh, what do you do? Oh, I shoot kids and babies. What? Photograph.
Something to
It
cut
says
off their heads.
Canon on the front in big letters.
Yeah.
All right, Carol.
I'm up. Yeah, Burning Man. So if you could sum up a photograph in one word, this would be like drama. For me,
Now
this
you're
was-
doing voices too.
yeah, I'm doing voices. This is a super dramatic image. It really tells a story. It's very clear what's going on here. It looks like, I hope, some kind of stunt man on the top of a tower burning. The flames are really bold and pop for me. For me, it was a great crop. I think that the composition, highlighting the flames going up into the corner, the pose of the hands and the lean forward is kind of and contributes to the image. You can tell the person kind of cowering away from the fire, but also looks imposing and up high. Again, it's like when you put the head or the main subject above the horizon line, it makes the person or subject look heroic, and with the fire, that contributes to that. I thought the background was a little flat, but I mean, that's a minor nitpick because the fire is just it's just such an interesting shot for me, and it's really dramatic. It's really has a narrative and really tells a story. So I thought it worked really well. I don't know what more I could say. So that's it. Good shot. Fire, drama, action.
Looking for dinner.
Yeah. We got the fox pouncing. Kind of wondering what he or she caught. Not to misgender the fox, but just wondering what it is. So I think this photo, again, we're in that spot of, right, the right moment, all right, height of action, good freezing shutter speed. You can see the little like snowflakes going where the feet ejected them. And all of that is really good, right? The idea and the concept was right. In looking at it on my monitor, though, I saw it. I thought there was a Photoshop overlay over it, like a texture, just because of how punched in it was. It was so crunchy that I literally thought there was a Photoshop texture. So, maybe smooth that out, maybe a little less texture, a little clarity, maybe just brush it in on the Fox, not use it as a global adjustment. That's kind of a way to separate it as well, right? So we use color as a separator, but we also use sharp as a separator. Things that are sharp are going to pop more than things that aren't. So if you put it just on your subject and not on the background, right, not as a global adjustment, but as a local, it's gonna pop even more. But the other thing for such a dark, not stark as in a dark, but just right, it's white and then the fur. It kind of bothers me that I don't see the full shadow. I think it tells more of the story to see that whole shadow. There's so much room on the left, and it feels weird that it's like not quite to the right. Not to say that like center or rule of thirds or anything, I don't care about any of those, but there's just the weight of the photo feels off because the shadow gets cropped like right at the tip of the tail. So those would be my main two things. I will say it's good getting the snow white. Snow is easy to go blue and snow is easy to go gray. And so a good job of controlling for that. It just feels crunchy and a little bit like over sharpened and over pushed in. But then if you're doing that, I would go back and recrop it where we see the shadow, because I think that'll kind of tell some of the story because it gives you that sense of scale again. So there you
Uh, Hold on tight.
This was me. I'm up again. For me, this image worked really well. I think the photographer made some good choices. The square format works really well, probably cut out some distractions or unneeded elements, which is great. The pose is really wonderful with the hand up in the air. It's a great action, stop of the action, right? You can see the face in the bull and the front legs, and you can kind of tell he's kicking it up. And of course, the rider's got the hand up in the air, and the I want to call them rodeo clowns. The men in the hats on the left are really watching intently. So that works well for me. And there's a lot of stuff going on that works well for me. Like there's a wonderful stance on the bull and the face is really interesting. It also tells a great story, right? We're in Texas. It's bull riding is really popular here, the cowboy culture. The people in the background fade out really well. There's no distractions. For me, the black and white was done well. A lot, it's one of my pet peeves. For some reason, I do the black and white spider awards a lot, and I see a lot of people do muddy black and whites, or they just don't get the whites white, they don't get the blacks black. It's a disaster sometimes. And this, for me, it worked well. That the conversion, or if it was shot in, I don't know if someone has a digital camera that shoots black and white, or even if it was film, whatever. There's a white point and a black point in the image, and it's very clear what and where they are, and the tonal range works for me. So that for me, I thought worked really well. I thought it conveyed action. For motion, sometimes you can work with shutter speed and maybe add some blur. I don't know, for me, I thought this image worked without it, but it might be something to think about if you were doing a series or additional images, maybe get some blur to really show that, make that bull look like he's moving across. But I know they move very quickly, and it's very hard. This is a very hard subject to take because they do move very quickly, and the guy's only up there for 8 seconds or something. So good job. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, exactly. So good job on the shot.
Action-based needle case.
It's awesome.
Oh, I think all three of us as judges just had a wonderful time just looking at it. My comments on it are very short and very sweet. That is about the most creative thing I've seen so far. Technically, it's done very well, but So photographer, you got to tell us, is this post or is this actual, you actually waited for that snail to move like that? 30 seconds, really? I have no critique on this one. It's just that good.
Yeah. I think,
I like that we get that.
I think it's done. I think it's in camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I'm thinking so, because unless they masked out. just
You'd see a lot more artifacts in the background if it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great photo.
Cool. Good idea. Executed well.
What does the snail say riding on top of a turtle?
That's a dad joke.
What does a snail say riding on top of a turtle? Oh.
Crunch.
Oh.
Okay, our next picture is Drop That Baby. There's no commentary, but wow. That's it. Now that looks like, well, it's a flycatcher. This is a flycatcher, and that looks like a baby duck. Dave, what do you think? Baby dove. Dove?
Dove.
There ain't no flycatcher. Right, interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
This
next
is
is coming
me.
around the bend.
My pictures are in a row.
I want wassail now.
So this has a very painterly quality about it. I really like the crop on it. Again, I think good choice there. It has very good corners and edges, which is something I always look for in an image. If you look at the smoke going up into the right corner, and then the tracks going into the lower left corner, that worked really well for me. Apart from that, it really has a feeling of winter. It has the look of a winter day, which really adds a mood and a tone to the image. The light here is very soft and lovely. It's got that sort of dusky glow. So again, it's a good choice of time of day to shoot and quality of light to shoot in. The photographer made some excellent choices, I think, in doing this, which a lot of times it's not always obvious. The time of day, the season, the composition crop, all of that contribute to this image. So I think it's well done. It looks like a kind of a winter mood to me. I liked it. My big question would be again, how does it fit in a larger body of work, right? Like, what would you show it with? How would you present it in a would this be in a magazine spread? What else are you shooting with it, right? Where's more of the narrative of, around what you're shooting. But of course you can't get that in one frame, right? But good job on the image, and great quality of light and very painterly.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I'll put it that way.
The photographer, the dancer.
Photographer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Excuse me, Mark, the chat says you missed the photo of the fox.
We didn't. I talked about
We
it.
talked about it for quite some
You did,
time.
okay. Chat's wrong.
Go ahead.
Okay.
They are having quite a delay after you switch the picture.
Okay, so it is a wonderful shot in a studio, the whole bit, the lighting, the fact that the photographer caught the light behind the dancer. I'm not sure if that was planned or if that was just happenstance, where they've got this V-shaped light going up the wall. Separates the dancer from the wall exceptionally well. On the only little bit of a negative that I have is that the edges of the legs are extremely sharp, to the point of you might have wanted to use a little Gaussian blur to soften those, because sitting here next to Josh's legs, they're not that sharp. I promise you that. So.
Well, his are overexposed a bit.
Nice shot.
Yes.
Oh man, it's a tough crowd.
I know that they're overexposed. Carol and I have to sit next to them, so.
Man.
It's a tough crowd tonight, I tell you. It's shot.
Oh,
After 3 years. we did
It's better that than the
10, but,
middle hook there.
that's true.
Say what you really say.
Yeah, really. I mean, no, I think it's a wonderful photograph, and yeah, that was my only thing, is that the legs are, and the body is just a little too sharp. It's as though the photographer layered it and then stuck it back in, but didn't bother softening those edges just enough to get rid of the layering. But otherwise, it's well done.
I used to do that.
That's me.
Okay. Let's see.
Hey, look, they're birds. No, I think this is fun, right? It's death from above, right? You have this big bird coming in, like swooping down, friend or foe. You're not really sure. I think all that's good. I think, the detail on the feathers, not over sharpened. I think all that's real nice. Just, I don't know, for me, it comes down to a couple things. One, the bottom bird's legs are chopped off like right at the ankles, basically. That kind of, I maybe would have cropped up just to the bottom board. I think also a lower perspective to really make the bird from above even seem even more menacing. I think that lower perspective, and that would have done a second thing, which is that horizon line right of the beach in the back kind of cuts through out of the center of the action. And so by getting lower, we could have eliminated that and just had, more of an abstract image and less of a horizon line. And then there's the third bird is kind of the and that's just, I don't know. I don't think that adds to the photo. And it's the moment, right? So it is what it is, right? You're there, you're shooting. That's the moment to get. But I don't know that the bird in the background makes it a stronger photo. But again, I think if
Take it up.
You have two and you break the rule of odds.
yeah, but I think
It's not breaking rules. So
I think the relationship is stronger than the alignment. But I think also if shooting from lower, you would have gotten rid of that anyway by getting lower and shooting up. And then just the head of one and then the whole body of the other, right? I think that's the image. The wood kind of takes away because it has texture. And so it's taking away from the texture of the baby bird. So getting lower kind of solves a lot of problems there. But otherwise, it's a great moment. I would say also there's a little bit of negative space on the right that I don't think is really adding anything to the composition. I could see this being a square crop and kind of going up to, I don't know, the bottom right of the board and kind of making that the square. I think that'd make it a little bit stronger because as it is, your eyes kind of have it. By not cropping, you're giving it a place for your eyes to escape the photo. We want to keep the eyes working through the photo. Yeah.
would you take the bottom of the baby bird out and just leave the head?
Yeah, I probably crop to like here and then here,
What about cropping it close to the,
like there.
yes. Then
I
you crop
think-
also the third bird.
Yeah, I crop there, but does that make it stronger? Sometimes I do that. Does it make it stronger or weaker? I think stronger probably. Because this has texture and this has texture and this has texture, that's really what we're using as a way to differentiate what the eye should go to. And in this case, this is pulling away from this.
Correct.
So I think getting rid of it just above the horizon,
Yep.
across there, I think, and then bringing it in, I think it really kind of centers the action and makes it more powerful. Because it is a powerful moment, right? It is a powerful moment. And so just so much of post should be about enhancing what you got in a way that makes it better than when you were there. Right? When we're out in the field, we're just collecting data, right? We're just collecting pixels. Post is where we make it into a photo.
Got breakfast?
What's my next one?
Chasing lunch.
Yes. All right. So I know I talk a lot of smack to birds. I know it's just a joke, guys. I'm just kidding around. But one of the problems I see with it is that it kind of what Carol was talking about is how do you make a bird photo yours, right? How do you make it? Literally, a photo came up and Steve was like, "Was that mine? Was that mine?" And to me, that says something in that once you really reach a level of competence with bird photography, they look good. but then what? And so to me, this is a great example of then what, right? Of seeing something and playing around with it and just messing around and posting, coming up with something that has a narrative to it, right? By looking at this, you know, it reminds me of when they didn't know if horses' feet were all in the air at the time. Remember that?
Edward Murbridge.
Yeah, the kaleidoscope thing or whatever. And then they proved that all the feet were up, but they took a bunch of photos and then put them together. And that's how they knew. And this kind of has that same type of narrative where you're seeing, you talked earlier about, coming in for a landing, but the bird didn't land. But this, we see that whole sequence. And to me, it's just such a cool graphical thing. Like it works, even if you squint your eyes and don't see any of the details, it still works. And that to me is when you know your composition's right, is when you don't see any of the detail, you just see objects, and does it still work? And I think in this case it does, right? Super cinematic, crazy wide angle sequence. I think it shows what can be done with bird photography and taking it in a way that is a little bit unexpected, but then in a way that also delights the viewer. The only thing, my only critique, the middle two frames, the shadows cut through the bottom of the crop. Who cares? I mean, that's the one thing whatever. But overall, it's so fun. Like there's just a playfulness about it that I love.
Was this a burst shot that was,
Yeah.
a series of burst shots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's 11 birds.
Yeah, they were literally all- Well, it could have been a movie, right? It could have been a video.
No, there's 10. You got an even number.
Oh, I don't know.
I need to get rid of one.
The bush serpent is the 11th object.
Yeah. The 11th is the one in your heart.
Okay.
Mark's like, shut up, Josh. What is that? I don't.
Pretty cool. The more you look at it, the more interesting it gets.
Yeah.
Bubbles kind of scare me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you're scared of them.
Is it like Daft Punk drowning?
Is
that all one?
Cruising.
Cruising for a bruising. All right, and the last image for the critique, the oral critique is gotcha.
Oh. What I've done all my. Okay. It's in here somewhere.
Look at you coming prepared.
Oh, I know. I figured out how to use my phone like that. So.
All my phone had those titles, all the settings and everything I memorized before I got here.
Yeah. No, I like the.
I did.
Yeah, we're not talking about your legs anymore. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, man.
That's never going to go away now.
No.
Okay. I like the color and the composition in this one. It's obviously it looks well to me. It's an evening shot. Very nice. Everything is sharp. Again, as I say, I'm a technical kind of guy, so I like the technical aspects of this shot. The bird well set from the background, and the action of the fish in his mouth or her mouth, its mouth, whatever, is pretty decent. Water's moving, so and the crop is quite good. You're not too tight, you're not too loose on it. So I think it's an excellent photograph.
Well, let's find out. Judges. So we have 18 images. There will be 5 places. Okay. And first honorable mention goes to William Ling for Chasing Lunch. Great image. Well thought. William Ling. Okay. Next. Honorable mention goes to Nick Grossman.
Yeah, I may have done, I can't remember. Not recently, I did a bit of editing on it for this competition, but,
There's something not right about the Brit rodeo.
no. I felt the same. I felt the same.
You have to go.
You also don't see anybody over 6 foot riding a pole.
Third place, Nick Grossman.
And I also didn't specifically sharpen his legs. I didn't want to upset George.
I just want to touch the legs, that's all. But that middle hook is kind of dangerous.
So far back.
Okay, technical
It was a studio.
technical glitch.
Two classical ballerinas. Yeah. it's a ballerina.
Dancers are something.
Okay, second place, Karen Limbaugh, Looking for Dinner. Nicely done, Karen.
This should be like or like some like sound effect. So.
And Slow and Steady wins a race. Michael Knox for Full Speed Ahead.
Did
No,
you hear me say how he did it?
he did not.
Slowly.
Action at a snail's pace.
I would have titled it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And let's see what the people wanted.
Oh, People's Choice done.
And the bronze goes to Nick Grossman. Leap. That's just a great image and it's a great leap too.
They both of them so particular to safeguard their professional image in the general sense of the word, that they wouldn't let us post anything of them leaping unless they've looked at it first. They said it's so easy for them not to be aligned appropriately.
Oh,
and
that
it
makes
tends
sense.
to reflect badly on them professionally. That they had the right of edit on before we posted for use.
Hey. That's worth it to be able to get the shot.
Yeah.
One of our jousting clients won't let us post. They don't want it to appear, even though the horses are all fine, they don't want the appearance of the horse.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And the silver goes to, who's Nick Grossman?
Give him away if you want.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bull.
You have rabbiteers.
Yeah, that'd be dramatic.
I'm glad we got somebody who shoots something besides birds.
He does that too. Yeah, he does everything. That's,
And the People's Choice Gold Medal goes to Karen Limbaugh for Looking for Dinner. Very cool.
Fox pop.
I guess they're,
It just seems like a little like.
So just for the judges, comment, the background, nothing was done in Photoshop as far as an overlay, because I don't know how to do much of Photoshop. So I wish I knew, but I don't.
Oh, don't teach Photoshop. I taught it once and it gave me an ulcer.
was there more picture to the right or was that the way the picture was taken? You wanted to crop in or crop out to the right?
I feel like it cropped in already, so I'm assuming there's some of the shadow there, but
I can't hear you guys.
our connection went out. Okay, it's back.
We're talking to the mic.
All right, now we'll move on to the advanced group.
Oh, wait.
Okay. And
I know.
All right. All right, so this group was judged by PSA Judge Robyn Mehmke, and she just wanted me to remind everyone that this is just one person's opinion on this particular day.
Yep.
She says it was very hard to place the top images. There were so many good images. So, but since we asked her to rank them, she did her best, and that's what we've got. And so she made comments on all of them, and I'm going to try and read them with my raspy voice.
You want me to read them?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's quick.
I was kind of hoping that.
Just hide your leg.
Okay, so
It's just audio, man. Eats up.
Josh is
No,
going
no,
to.
there's a
Whoa.
Josh is going to. You want me to read
What is
that?
it, 8-point font?
Yes, actually.
See? Look, y'all think I'm kidding. Look. No, I can read it, but I'm,
Here, these are magnifiers.
no, it's fine.
All right.
My vision's the only good sense I have.
Image is Yellowstone.
Go through them once and we'll come back. and read
Okay,
them.
sounds good.
We're going to go through and look at them first, and then we'll go back and talk about them.
Get on the water.
What?
Those are kind of weird.
Yeah. Lemon pepper. That's funny.
Flock of not seagulls.
I'm murdered.
Red winged blackbird female. There's a left-handed and then there's a right.
That's cool.
Well, I asked my husband, he tells me,
The bird.
I'm the artist.
There was one in this.
Red winged blackbirds always look like maitre d's at a nice Italian restaurant. Like all in black with that little bit of red.
You see one of those females alone, you always identify it as a sparrow or something else, but you gotta know those males around. Yeah, they're really hard.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. What?
Metal bird.
Metal bird?
Yeah,
Metal bird. Yeah, metal bird.
Or gas birds.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Oh, I know where that is.
Yellowstone.
Looks like the plates in my fridge I threw out today.
Say my bathtub.
Left your what?
My bathtub.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I did that once.
That's pretty.
Last summer.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Didn't somebody crash a drone into it and it melted? Or
Yeah.
a couple years ago?
I think somebody dove into it too.
Yeah.
Don't go to national park.
Oh, nice.
So you can fly in national park. You just can't take off or land in the national park. That's the way the rules are.
Hang 10, dude. The light's really pretty.
Stacked?
I'm gonna poke you in the eye, I tell ya.
Three Stooges here. Go.
To the moon, Alice.
Joust. Joust. Oh, that's pretty.
$85.
Everybody's hunting them harriers, man. The grass is very pretty in that.
Get a picture of the supersonic jet and then title it Flight of the Conchords.
Okay.
The dulcet tones.
Yes.
Josh says somebody else. would be the-
I know, it's great. I don't have to think of any of my own mean things. It's perfect. All right, just want to read the whole thing? Okay. What is this? Yellowstone Winter Stream. So this is the judge. This is not me, but I'm just the judge's. I'm like
Judge's voice.
Archangel Michael. I'm just going to be the spokesman of.
You're Mike Rowe.
Yeah. What a wonderful capture of the smooth flowing water. There's no doubt that this image captures the action of moving water beautifully. The colors are wonderful and the rocks are tack sharp. The exposure is perfect here with the white of the foaming water nicely captured. The direction of the flowing water carries the viewer from left to right in the frame to enjoy what lies there. If I were to change anything, I would shoot this just a bit wider to include more of the rock on the right side and a bit more of the flowing water on the left. I do hope that this photographer has this photo printed and hanging on the wall. It deserves to be there, as it has such high impact, in my opinion.
Good critique.
Thank you, Robyn.
Walking on water. What a fun photo this is. The bird is captured in a way that it appears to be walking on the water. I do appreciate how well the eye and feet of that sweet bird are so sharp. The clarity here is excellent, and the selective focus works by having the foreground and background out of focus, as the viewer then puts all the attention on the main interest area, the walking on water bird. There has been area left in front of the bird for it to move into. I do find a distracting element of water droplets on the left side of the frame. Oh, yes. Cool.
Spot that thing. Right.
Yeah. Lemon pepper plunge. This image certainly caught my eye immediately with the beautiful bright colors and wonderful action. The peak of action has been so very well captured. I do appreciate the reflected colors captured in the bubble at the top of the frame. The technique used here was very well done to capture such a nice photo. In my opinion, the uneven horizon is distracting. I wonder if leaving more space to show more of what lies above would help with that. Time to fly. Wow, what a wonderful opportunity this photographer had to witness so many birds in flight in one area. I enjoyed looking from bird to bird. I do wish that more of the birds were in sharp focus. The background feels pixelated to me. I do appreciate the depth of field here, as it works to put more emphasis on the birds that are in flight. To me, there are several merges with the birds, which is distracting. There are several areas in this photo that could stand alone. In other words, there are pictures within the photo. That might help eliminate some of those out of focus birds. Pronghorn herd on the move. Wonderful example of pan is what I see here. The pronghorns are very difficult to photograph as they have amazing speed and are very reluctant to have their photo taken. I enjoy how sharp they are focused. There has been plenty of room left in front of the herd to move into. The colors of the surrounding grass and the background add to the scene. If I were to change one thing, it would be to include more of the herd that lies to the left in this frame. As it is, the crop is a bit awkward there. Agreed. What's that?
Otherwise, I'd have it on my wall.
Yeah. Where are we at? Coffee versus creamer.
Interesting.
Yeah. I find this to be a fun, interesting, high-key image. I'm definitely aware of the action occurring here. The area of dark liquid on the left side acts as the leading line to where the action is originating from. The photographer has done an excellent job of freezing the action, in my opinion. I do find that the area of dark fluid a distraction, even though it leads to the origin or the action. Yeah.
I like to see him watch them set this up.
Well, and how many times, right? Did you have to like go back and clean it all up and try it again? Clean it all up, try it again, clean it all up, try it again.
The glass is breaking too, isn't it?
I don't think so. That's the white, that's the creamer getting hit.
Okay.
It's coffee and creamer, right? So it's coffee inside, creamer hitting it, and then coffee outside.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Traveling companions. What a great panoramic shot this is of an odd number of flying birds, which adds interest to the scene. Rule of odds, what's up? Our eyes are drawn to odd numbers more than even numbers. The background horizon is nice and level in this image. I do appreciate the depth of field used in this image. There's a merge with the bird on the left wing and the wing of the bird in front of it. Yeah. Yeah, move.
Scoot it over, man.
Should I read this one in a Metallica voice? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't do it that long. This is one of those photos that viewer wonders how it was taken with that plane in flight. It is a fabulous panning shot for sure, in my opinion. Just enough foreground below is included to give placement to where the place is. The viewer assumes that the jet has just taken off. The clarity is tack sharp. The inclusion of the view of the pilot in the cockpit sure adds interest to the scene. If I were to add something, it would likely to include more space in front of the jet for it to fly into.
Cool picture.
Yeah. Wait.
All right.
All right. Thermal action. In my opinion, this is a delightful, strong composition featuring a wonderful capture of a colorful scene. The clarity and color are excellent. In my opinion, the lines created in the hot orange area work as leading lines to the steaming hot yellow, green, and blue hot water area. I enjoy the crop here. The action in this photo is assumed by the steam coming from the hot water in various colors created by the thermal activity. To me, the crop is a bit tight at the top as the people featured there need a bit of room above them. No. Yeah.
We'll get rid of them altogether.
Yeah. I'd get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, that's all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Humpback feast action. I would bet that the photographer who was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time was thrilled to see the fun action captured here. The clarity and wonderful color are well done. I appreciate the inclusion of the bird as they add interest to the scene. In a perfect world, the whale would have been closer to the photographer, or the photographer would have had a longer lens to capture what was going on here from a closer view. You could try cropping in tighter to feature just the whale and birds and less of the mountain behind and see how you like it that way. See how you like it that way.
Yeah.
I could, depending on how you read that, that line could have been very different.
That's why we picked you.
Yeah.
I wish I had the room for longer lens too. I think the boat was rocking.
Oh, yeah. Longer lens and rocking boat. Better have some Dramamine on board. Yeah. Ooh. You ever tried shooting or like looking through binoculars and as a passenger in a car going fast? Right? That like, whoa. Yeah. Same thing. All right. Where we are. It's mine. Is that this? Okay.
Yeah.
What a fabulous action capture this photographer is presenting. I love how the photo is cropped. To me, it is obvious that the viewer knows that the eagle is going in for hunting success and hopefully a fish dinner. The clarity in the eagle's feet and feathers is excellent, as are the colors captured. It is obvious that either it is snowing out or there are water droplets that the eagle is moving through. I don't mind those, except for the one that is right by the eagle's head, which is a bit distracting.
Yeah. You look right past that.
Yeah, I like to give depth.
Okay, this picture actually they're both part of the same picture. Nobody bought that.
No, I was like, is the eagle chasing this
Yeah.
person? Better pow fast, boy. Fish dinner. Ooh. Through the pipe. This photo, in my opinion, is an example of being in the right place at the perfect time. The wave is almost there and the viewer can see the anticipation on the surface space. The foreground element works well to keep the attention on the action area. The color and light captured are excellent. I find the green of the water and the wonderful golden light on the wave and foreground goes so well together. There's no doubt that this image tells a story. A well done action photo, in my opinion, with so much high impact and with wonderful composition. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Little foam on there.
Lighting is everything.
Look at that without looking at sharks.
What's that?
We can't look at that without looking at sharks.
Why? Why do you need sharks? It was an eagle chasing it.
He's talking about sharks.
Oh, the shark photographer?
Yeah, so now all we can say is there a shadow?
Maybe it's just cropped out, right? Or maybe he's going right into the shark's mouth.
Right?
Maybe the shark will get the eagle.
Look at y'all thinking. I like this. It's good. Territorial squabble. I find this to be a wonderful capture of action with lots of high impact. The composition is cropped nicely and tack sharp throughout. The inclusion of the drops of water adds interest to the scene. The color is lovely with the whites being well exposed. I appreciate how well the bird's eyes are featured here. The bit of reflection of the legs makes a nice foreground element. They actually could be considered as leading right to that action area. To me, this is nicely done storytelling action photo. Is that beak really going through the bird's head?
No, I think it's probably underneath it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
If it wasn't going, it was around the neck.
yeah. Okay. I just,
Yeah,
It looked like it was pierced his neck though at first.
All right. At the joust, there is no doubt that wonderful action is captured here. The clarity is excellent in my opinion. Sorry, that's a.
Was it an opinion?
It's supposed to be opinion, but opinion actually is part of a car or a cactus or nut. The inclusion of the crowd adds an important element for where the action is occurring. I appreciate the dust that the horses are kicking up. For the record, this is not historical jousting. This is theatrical jousting. There's a difference. Go ahead. The texture of the ocean. I really appreciate the selective focus used in this lovely minimalistic image of the ocean. The main interest area is obviously that very narrow section of the sea. The viewer definitely gets the idea of the action of the water depicted here. The inclusion of the slight bit of color in the clouds above adds interest. I would like to see this image with some of the sky cropped out to put more emphasis on where the action is at the bottom of the frame. This is going to be interactive here for just a second because I agree. Hold on. We're going to use the sheets real quick. This photo is awesome. Imagine if it was just that. Right. So if it was just that, I think it's almost like an ocean water drop. You know, like the water drop photos with just the ocean. I think that's cool. Anyway, we don't need to talk about this one. Let's go ahead.
No photography.
This is such a lovely scene featuring a beautiful bird gliding through the air. Selective focus here works very well with the foreground and background both shown in soft focus. The color is excellent and the texture and the grasses and birds' feathers are captured very well. Plenty of space has been left in front of the bird for it to fly into. I certainly do appreciate the light that is captured here. Yeah. There's some thought that the bird should be flying the other direction as our minds like to read from left to right. However, the photographer had no control over which way this bird wanted to fly.
Dave, I told you to fly.
Radio controlled taxidermy.
No, there are people out there, they're called bird truthers. It was on 60 Minutes.
The birds aren't real.
And then, yeah, birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Drones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I kept saying every time a bird came up, I was like, birds aren't real.
okay.
They're all northern harriers. That's all we've seen today.
Yeah, I know. They say they might suggest a tighter crop to feature that beautiful bird even closer, but then you lose the foreground that she talked about. So
Yeah,
conflicting things. Is that all of it?
that's it.
Whew.
You've done good.
Good job.
Okay, so
I actually used to do radio voiceovers.
judge's choice. Okay, so we have 4 places
She was a good judge.
and honorable mention goes to Cheryl Callum
Ooh, nice.
for Walking on Water. I got a feeling this is one of her pod shots down on the ground with the bird.
Yeah,
Looks really good.
Stone crab.
yeah. It's like,
3rd place, Dennis Bosserman, Territorial Squabble.
It's seriously, it's like the bird's getting stabbed. Vlad the Impaler.
2nd place, Louis Sabalafia, Yellowstone Winter Stream.
Yeah, beautiful.
Congratulations, great colors.
I never have a tripod with it, but I'll take it.
yeah.
And 1st place, Dennis Bosserman, Through the Pipe.
So you got a winner and a summer?
Oh, man. So,
This was taken in Cabo and they have big waves there. And I was just walking down the beach and I saw this kid, he would wait for the wave to hit the wall. And it would come down and then he would just jump on that. And I saw him do it about 3 times and I go, I gotta get that.
It almost looks like a skimmer board. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it was a skimmer board.
Is that the shore in the foreground? He's that close to shore?
He's that close to shore.
Yeah.
The waves are really steep there and they bounce off the wall and then they come back around. And he was catching the back around on the skimmer board.
cool.
Have you ever tried to do a skimmer board?
What's that?
You ever tried to do a skimmer board?
No, no, no.
First time I did, I ran and then it stopped and I just.
Oh, yeah.
It did not end well.
The light is beautiful in that shot.
Yes.
Really lovely. It's
And the
really
sun
lovely.
was setting way over here, so we get that light right into the wave.
Crooked light, man. That's always what we're after, that crooked light.
Really beautiful light.
And now it's time
People's
for the
choice.
people's
Woo!
choice.
What we got?
People
So
I'm surprised you didn't get
the
that. I
winners
guess that eagle
are
had the spot she liked.
for bronze medal, Dennis Bosselman for Through the Pipe.
Yay.
Clearly an award-winning image.
I just like that determination on the face. Like,
Yeah, the pose is
Now the
beautiful.
sun just hit his
And the
face.
light. is
The
just
silver
gorgeous.
goes to Cheryl Callan for Walking on Water. Great shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
see,
And the gold medal goes to Cheryl Callan.
Which is like a carp or a catfish. It's like a bottom feeder bird, but she got a great shot.
That's a
Cheryl, are you around tonight?
and those talons just.
I guess she's not. She's probably out shooting more
We were saying crazy.
wildlife.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank the judges. I want to thank all the participants. I want to thank all the audience for showing up and listening, and
We should put a plug in for judging for folks.
yeah, don't forget,
Folks, don't forget, volunteer to judge. You could be, sitting next to Josh's legs.
I already did once this evening.
I'm gonna come with them shade and bronze next time.
I want to,
Pump you up.
excuse me, I want to tie things together. I'm the membership coordinator, and I just want to say that we have been able to have people renew. And so thanks for renewing. But if you can pick up a business card when you come to the meeting, please take some business cards with you. We now have the new contact information, the website and Instagram, the Facebook page. We'd like to get the word out. And the best way is a personal invitation from you to check out the website and ask them to join you and then come with you to a meeting. And our next meeting is May the 3rd Thursday always. And so what was our potential program?
Thursday? For third Thursday?
Yeah, the third
We
Thursday.
don't know yet. We're working on
We
it.
haven't got it confirmed
We'll
yet.
get it next week.
And is it likely to be an in-person meeting, or do you think it'll be okay, so it'll definitely be a Zoom meeting. But we thank you for spreading the word, letting people know about our club. We are a volunteer club. If you want to understudy and learn from Ed about the website, or Mark or myself, we'd be happy to have understudies or volunteers helping us as well. So, close this out.
Wonderful images in all groups tonight. I'm really impressed.
There's always
Yeah.
good and basic. There's always
I think
good.
you have to leave the meeting, or Ed has
To me, the
to.
only difference is like in advance, the spread is smaller.
You want to close this out?
Like the top are the same
Yeah.
top. but
Good night, everybody.
advanced is here, intermediate is there, basically, they just get a bigger spread. That's all.